I don't need this.
No, you don't need that. You need some hair.
Huh?
You need some hair. So I can blow in the wind.
Am I shiny?
Too shiny. Makeup! Hi, and welcome to the Giulio Show. We got a great guest on today. He is an entrepreneur, obviously a speaker, a trainer. He is the co-founder of Paul Mitchell the School, also the co-founder of Salty Dawgs, and that's where you get your pets groomed. It's a great business to be in. Youngest to ever win Lifetime Achievement Award. He's been all over the world. He's got a great selling book that sells all over the world too. It's called Be Nice or Else. And with us today is Winn Claybaugh. Welcome, Winn.
Thank you.
Be nice or else.
I don't think I've ever been interviewed my best friend before.
I know, we've been friends forever. By the way, Winn is not only my partner, but he is my best friend, and we've known each other for how many years now?
35 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember exactly how it happened and when it happened, and it was all meant to be. You know, they say you look back on the people that you meet or experiences that you've had, you're like, oh yeah, that was exactly supposed to happen that way, and that's our story.
Yeah, and it's kind of a secret. But it was love. But anyway, be nice or else. What's or else? Are you going to spank me or something?
My gosh, she's already doing that.
I hope so. But it's be nice. What inspired you to write Be Nice?
Well, because you brought it up, the or else part means, be nice or live a miserable life. Be nice or not be happy. So people think that it's a threat, and it's not a threat. It's just that's the way things are. That's the law of the universe. What goes around comes around, and if what you're putting out there is not nice, then that's the life you're going to have. That's the life that's going to come back to you. So that's why that title. Oh, and by the way, Larry King wrote the foreword for the book, and originally the book was Be Nice. And so he said, hey, you're writing this book, I'd like to write the foreword for you. He's like, but I don't like this name, Be Nice. It needs to be Nice or Else.
That's Larry King.
That's my Larry King impression, or else. So he's the one who added the or else part to it.
And he was a good mentor to you, and the whole time of writing this, while you were writing it, he was reading it. And
yeah.
How did you hook up with Larry King?
He married a friend of mine. I think his 12th wife. No,
yes,
no, 7th wife, 8th wife, whatever.
He loved weddings, Larry.
Yeah, he loved weddings, and Sean, his wife, had been a friend of mine since I was 13 or 14 years old, and so they got married, and that's how I met Larry. And then, in the mid '90s, Modern Salon magazine. Remember when magazines were printed? And Modern Salon magazine did a story on me, and they called me the Larry King of the beauty industry because I had been doing podcast interviews. And still, by the way, to this day, I still do every single month. I do a podcast interview, and so
before
Larry
they were
King,
popular,
before there was the term podcast.
Yeah, exactly. I remember that.
Yeah, we mailed them out in cassette tapes to subscribers. They're like, that's what my daughter asked me a couple of weeks ago. What's a cassette, Daddy? What was the question? Oh yeah, so Larry, good old Larry. So they said that I know Larry King of the beauty industry, and so Larry called me. He's like, well, if you're the Larry King of the beauty industry, you need to come over and I'll teach you how to be Larry King. And so I went to his house, and he literally spent the day with me and taught me how to interview people. And I mean, the input that he's given to me, I still use. I have people say, gosh, I've been interviewed hundreds of times, and that's the best interview I've ever done. Thanks. How'd you draw that out of me? And I'm like, Larry King.
Maybe you can teach me something.
What he taught me is that it's not just for interviewing people, it's about having a conversation. We talk about having conversations that really matter, and sometimes it's just like surface stuff, and his style was just to go deep. He's like, just never assume that you got the full answer. So if somebody gave you a question, there was a word in their answer that they gave you that you can say, well, build on that. What did you mean by that? Well, where did that happen? And how did that come about? And so just to build upon the one first question that you ask people, and you have a whole interview.
Be a good listener.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking of what you're going to say, listen and feed off of that question.
Well, it's so funny because in the very beginning, like the first person I interviewed was Vidal Sassoon. 27 years ago. And of course I had it all mapped out of exactly what I was going to ask, and I'd ask my first question and he answers something super interesting and I'm like, next question. Like, meaning there's more to his answer, but I didn't know that. I didn't know. Keep on going with it, right?
Look at the questions I have here. We haven't even hit one of them yet. And that's the great thing. That's what I love about talking rather than interviewing, is because it's a conversation. And I need to learn more of that as I get started, and I learned a lot from you and how I've seen your interviews change throughout the years, and they've gotten more like, tell me more, tell me more. But like you said in the beginning, we're like, so where did you come from? What's your name?
Right.
What you do? But this book right now, Winn, I have to say, you wrote this when?
18 years ago.
How bad do we need it now? Do you see the world going that way now? I mean, have we, since 2020, it's kind of like we went backwards and worse.
Here's how we need to look at it, and we absolutely need to look at it this way. That yes, there are more challenges today in terms of mental health, struggle of addiction. I mean, across the board, we could go down the list and name all of the challenges and problems that are going on. But here's how we have to look at it, is because there's a lot of people going through all of those challenges and many people are healing themselves. So what's going to happen is healers are going to go out into the world. People who have overcome addiction that maybe would not have gone through that and recovered many years ago because of the way the world is right now. I need to get clean. I need to clean up my life. Because relationships are completely demolished and torn apart because I unfriend you. We were just talking about that. I disagree with you on one point in life, and therefore we can never be friends. We can never sit down and have dinner. We can never have a civil conversation. We can't debate. We can't learn from each other because I disagree with this one thing, and I'm going to unfriend you. And so I think that we're all going through that stuff. And what's happening is we're learning. It's like, I gotta dig in deep. I'm struggling. I've never struggled before. I'm struggling with my family life. I'm struggling with my self-esteem and my confidence. I'm struggling raising my kids. I'm struggling with addiction. And what we're having to do is we're having to heal. We're having to get mentors. We're having to get better. And what's going to happen is that the planet is now going to send out a whole bunch of healers that didn't exist before. Meaning, it's on the uprise. That curve of the vibration of energy is only going to get better and better and better.
I need a group of healers on my ass, because I'll tell you what, I don't know about you, but I was strong in the beginning of the pandemic. And you're right, about a year and a half ago, I hit the funk. I got depressed. I didn't want to talk to anybody. Did you experience any of that as you...
Not only did I experience that, I still experience it. And guess what? So did Tim Story, and I'm not divulging because he talks about it openly. Tim Story, this hero of ours, Tim Story, the man in front of millions of people, talked about this funk that he's been going through with again, depression and loneliness. Chalene Johnson, and again, I'm not divulging her. She has millions of followers, and she's being very open about it and transparent.
A lot of celebrities are now coming out.
And we're talking about it. So this is a good thing. When else would we have talked about this?
Now, that's one good thing that came out, because it was a hidden secret before. And people with deep depression committed suicide.
Yeah.
Not the crier, the one who had it in silent.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I called you. I called a few friends and said, I'm in the funk. I don't know what's happening.
Right.
I actually called a psychiatrist too, because I just didn't know what was happening to me. And it was just because I think the noise around me, instead of the healers around me that you were talking about. And I could see that happening. We need more and more healers out there. And this book is reawakening again. And we teach this in our schools and in a lot of places because it's needed more now. You know, was somebody mean to you that you wrote this book, or was it something that's always been on your mind?
I mean, I have a similar story to many, many people of being bullied as a little kid, but none of that really was drastic for me because I had a beautiful family life. I had a wonderful, wonderful parents, and so I was safe and I was protected. And so yeah, maybe some of those things. I kind of did everything backwards in life. So I, while other kids were backpacking through Europe right after high school or going to get a job at Disneyland, I was starting a company. And so I was so into it little young entrepreneur, my head down, hustling, working really, really hard. And then it was later in life that I then decided that I'm going to experiment with drugs and all kinds of very unhealthy things. Other people did that in their 20s. Way too many. way too many.
It's too much of a list right now. Yeah, we all been through that.
Well, that's the thing, because I'm going to do, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to be really good at. I was the youngest Boy Scout at 14 years old, to be Eagle Scout. I was a hustler, had like not one paper route, 3 paper routes. I think, my gosh, would I ever send my daughter out at 11 years old in the dark and there I am and on my bicycle at night because I had 3 paper routes. Bought a apartment building when I was 16 years old from money that I saved up from a paper route. Oh yeah. So if I'm going to do something, I'm going to be the best at it, including being a drug addict. I'm going to be the best drug addict there ever was.
You were an Eagle Scout at what age? 14. I got kicked out of the Cub Scouts.
Over and over again, I'm sure.
Yes, I got caught eating a brownie.
A brownie? Oh gosh.
Sorry,
see?
I had to go there. But you know me, I'm just a goofball, and that's how I look at life. And I think everybody should have some humor in their life. And even today's humor, people think you're mean. And you're actually trying to be nice by bringing a smile to their face, and we've seen the disappearance of comedians. And you travel with Kathy Buckley when you do your shows, and she's the first deaf comedian we had around last week. And I see the laughter. People need the laughter. It's the best medicine.
When I do travel, so I was just doing an event in New Orleans, and I was told by the organizers of that event, like they were apologizing to me in advance, like, okay, these are a bunch of suits, and they don't really laugh, they don't really engage, and so we've seen you on stage before, and I don't think you're going to get the same reaction that you normally get. I'm like, haha, give them to me. It's like they're apologizing that they're throwing me into a den of wolves, and to me that's my best audience. Like, yeah, they because they're not expecting it. They're not expecting to be moved and to have an experience and to cry and to laugh. And when you know how to do that, whether that's one-on-one, so you're doing that for your friends where you can bring that comic relief and lighten things up and have fun and be playful with them. And then to do that on stage in front of a bunch of suits who are just like, I dare you to teach me anything. Oh my gosh, it's the best experience.
When you met me, it's the funniest thing because we're talking about comedy. Mm-hmm. The first night you met me, what was I doing?
You were doing stand-up in front of, it was a training that really didn't need a stand-up comedian, but there you were.
I know, we went there, and it was actually a comedy club, and that's how you and I connected, really, is because they were supposed to have all these comedians on, and they were late, and I just got up and started telling jokes.
Right.
And you and I connected, and we were laughing, and you were like, you paid to do that? And I'm like, no, I just went up.
I think there was like 300 people at this training that you and I were at. Yeah. But you were the one that I connected with. Like, it's like, we're going to be buddies. We're going to be friends. And that was like in 1988, 89 or whatever. Yeah. Some of you weren't even born yet.
And we're still waiting for you. But the thing is, you said you were an entrepreneur at 16. But the funny thing is, now you speak to many corporations. You do for many different diversity of companies. But yet, you got yourself involved in the beauty industry because you're co-founder of Paul Mitchell, the school. But before that, you were a school owner. I know that because I used to come to your school and have some fun in Provo, Utah. Yeah. But before that, you were a salon owner, and you never did hair.
No.
How'd that happen?
That's the cool thing about the beauty industry. And I'm not sure if other industries are this way. I don't know because I'm not in them. But in the beauty industry, you can have 10 jobs. And nobody ever checked our qualifications. The beauty industry is like, you come along and say, yeah, I want to do that. Nobody ever said, no, you can't do that because I need to see your credentials. I need to see your license. I mean, on rare occasions, a hairdresser will sit in my audience and like, well, if you're not a hairdresser, I don't care what you have to say. You don't have the credibility to talk to me, to try to teach me. But those are the rare people. Mostly in the beauty industry, it's just an outpouring of sharing of information. And how I now look at it is it's called unconventional wisdom. Conventional wisdom is what we already know. So if we're in the same career, have the same degree, have the same education, the same job experience, well, we can't really teach each other much. That's conventional wisdom. Unconventional wisdom is what we don't know. We need to invite outsiders. What's your experience in business? What's your experience in life? And that's the unconventional wisdom that absolutely is going to take us to the next level. And the beauty industry always embraced me that way. I always felt like I wasn't going to be held back, and nobody ever said that I wasn't qualified. Nobody ever said no to me. And so I was allowed to pursue anything and everything.
But you were like a hairdresser. I mean, we all thought you were a hairdresser because you knew more about the industry than most of us that sat there with our license for many years when you first came on, board with Paul Mitchell, and you were our guest speaker, and then you worked your way in without even asking. You were good at that.
Yeah, there was no ad, we're looking for a motivational speaker at Paul Mitchell. I pushed my way in.
You did?
I made a decision, and I have a great story of how that all happened.
Tell us.
Oh, well, so...
That's why we're here.
There you go. So I'm a brand new salon owner, so this is going back to the mid-'80s. Not a hairdresser, no college education, no experience in business whatsoever. I'm like, I need to educate myself because I'm a salon owner. So I find out about the New York IBS show. I fly from Utah to New York.
IBS, International Beauty Show.
Yeah, what was it, like 50,000 hairdressers that would attend?
More.
Okay.
More. It was more than
so I go to this, and I'm like looking at the program, like, where am I going to go? And I see this picture of this really pretty lady, Jean Bra. I'm like, oh, she's pretty. I'm going to go to her class. So I go to her class. There's like 1,000 people in the audience, and like everybody else in that audience, I fall in love with Jean Bra. Now at the time, she was the artistic director of Paul Mitchell. So now for me, I'm not the type of person that is fine with just sitting in the audience listening to speakers. I have to meet them. I got to stalk them. I need to become their best friend. And so I somehow lie my way to get backstage and to meet Jean Bra. And I go up to her. I'm like, hi, my name is Winn Claybaugh. I own a salon in Provo, Utah, and I'm a motivational speaker. I wasn't yet, but I told her that I was. I tell the truth in advance. So she's like, whoa, nice to meet you. Now, again, I need to stalk Jean Bra. I find out that she's in Chicago. I'm in Chicago. And of course, in Chicago, I sneak backstage, go up to Jean Bra. Hi, Winn Claybaugh. I met, yeah, oh, yeah, you're that motivational speaker. Yeah. Well, then I'm following her to Miami, and then for a year this went on. She's in Southern California at the Long Beach show. And of course, I'm hanging out backstage with my best friend, Jean Bra. How you doing, Winn? Good to see you again. And I'm not sure what happened that day, but a challenge with the models or with the AV, I don't know, but they weren't ready to go on. So the show's supposed to start, they're not ready. Everybody's panicking. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Jean Bra's like, I know what we're gonna do. Let's send Winn out there. He's a motivational speaker. So my first gig representing Paul Mitchell is as Jean Bra's warm-up act. And by the way, they weren't there to see me. They were there to see Jean Bra. So I go out on stage in front of 1,000 people, and they're expecting Jean, and I come out on that stage. And how do you think I did?
Poorly.
No, I was brilliant.
I guess so.
No, because I was ready.
You every show that you did, you came out like you've been speaking for, and I saw you in the beginning. You like you've been speaking for hundreds of years.
In front of my bathroom mirror. Yeah. No, whatever it took. It's like, because nowadays, especially nowadays, with social media and YouTube, people watch one YouTube video and they think that they're ready for Wimbledon.
Yeah.
They watch one makeup tutorial and think that Warner Brothers should call them for their next feature film. Like it's called the microwave generation. They want things instantly. And at the end of the day, I was ready. People think that they want that spotlight, and the truth of the matter is, if most people got the spotlight that they want so badly, they would make a total fool of themselves.
They're scared when they get it. They run. They want it. They're there. They're in the front. But you were willing to fail. You and I spoke for how many years? And I started out by doing hair shows, and then they were calling me for speaking. But we had to make an ass out of ourselves a few times and trip and fall and fail. Because I remember one time, even speaking, opening for you, I had an anxiety attack. And I never had an anxiety attack. Shit happens.
The stage will bring out.
Yeah. And all of a sudden I couldn't speak. They thought I was speaking in tongues. They're like, what religion is that? So how many times did it take you? Because people think, yeah, you did come out. You were brilliant for 1,000 people. But did you ever have the shows that you came out that you had to really learn from?
Yeah. What do they call that? The 10,000 hours. You got to practice something 10,000 hours. When I interviewed Peter Vidmar, Olympic gold medalist, one of the most decorated gold medalists in U.S. history for men's gymnastics, he talks about 10,000 hours in the gym. He talks about how people say if you want to be successful, you have to do double what everybody else. He's like, I'm in the gym 6 hours a day. You're telling me I have to be in the gym 12 hours a day? No. How about if you just do an extra 2 hours? So get there an hour before everybody else and stay an hour extra. So 2 hours a day more than everybody else, divided or added by all of the days and weeks and months that you're training, and that's what gets you there. And so it was just doing it over and over and over and over again. People will see us on stage in front of 3,000 people and getting a standing ovation. They're like, I want to do what you do. Really? Okay, here's what it takes. It's the dog and pony show. It's like city to city to city, and sometimes it's in the worst hotel. It's not at Caesar's Palace in front of 3,000 people.
And by the way, you don't know it, but Winn and I used to call each other and say, hey, he found out where I was doing a show, I found out where he was doing a show, and we would just pop in on each other and do it together.
Yeah.
So that we did get those 10,000 in. We did show after show. Even if we weren't invited,
yeah,
we made it happen.
We're never invited. You usually
we never even got
paid.
paid.
Exactly. But we didn't care.
No.
It's what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
It's what we wanted to do. That's so funny. It's like, I want to do that. I want to be a session hairdresser. I want to get be hired to do hair and makeup. Well, what are you waiting for? Well, nobody's hired me yet. Really? So you're waiting for somebody else to give you permission to do what you love to do? You're waiting for somebody else to give you that opportunity, but you won't even give it to yourself. I mean, if you want to be
hairdressers who are like, I want to do editorial work. I want to do photo shoots. And I'm like, well, start doing them. They're like, well, I don't have money for a cameraman. I said, you're holding the latest iPhone with the best pixel in it. Do the hair. Go take some pictures outside. Look at the background we got here. You can't do a photo shoot. You know, go to a local
green
park.
Screen. This isn't real.
Yeah, really. Yeah, but here's the thing: go to your local park, your town center. There's so many beautiful places to go. Start now.
And not only that, but there's a whole bunch of people who want the exact same thing. You go, if we're talking about photo shoots, go to the local fashion institute. There are models there who are in school training on how to do wardrobe and costuming and design. Bring them on. Then you go to the local modeling agency. They always have new girls that need to test. And then you go to a makeup studio, a makeup school, because guess what? They need to practice too. You put together this team, nobody's getting paid, everybody's just learning, but it's the process of doing it over and over and over again. When I interviewed Ruth Roach, who has received NAHA Awards, Hairdresser of the Year, I don't know how many times.
What is NAHA Awards?
North American Hair,
Award from that, and you're not even a hairdresser, and you achieved Lifetime Award.
North American Hairdressing Association.
Okay.
So she told me, and when you win Hairdresser of the Year, it's about your skill and your talent, but it's judged on photos. And so she said that her first photo shoot happened in the back of a Chinese restaurant in Santa Barbara, California. I'm like, can I see those photos? She's like, no, you can't. Because everybody assumes that her first photo shoot won NAHA of the Year. No. It was over and over and over of failures, and it's expensive, and it's out of her own pocket, and it's the worst models in the worst location, and that's what was speaking. We were in the worst hotel in front of an audience that was pissed off that they had to be there. Remember 10 people like my salon owner forced me to be here, and I'm so angry. You know why? That's the audience that's going to teach you, not the audience like, oh my gosh, he's here. That's an easy audience. Yeah. It's the audience like, I dare you to teach me anything. Yeah. And that's the audience that we were in front of all the time.
And they were challenging us. By the way, NAHA, so you just know what that really means. That's like winning an Emmy, a Grammy. Wouldn't you say that equivalent in our industry?
Yeah.
So when you win that NAHA award, but people think that I gotta wait, like you said, for this moment, for this amount of cash. We didn't wait for that. No. We just jumped in. We didn't have any cash. We had credit cards, maybe with a couple $100 limit on it or whatever. But we would sleep on somebody's couch. We would do whatever it took. But today, people want the lavish. Oh, I gotta stay in the best hotel. I gotta get the best wardrobe. I gotta get the. No, we shopped at the thrift stores.
Whatever we needed to do.
And that's what Ruth did.
And by the way, we loved it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was this adventure. We didn't care that we were at the worst hotel. We didn't care that we had to share a room with 20 other people. we didn't care about any of that. Why? Because we chose it. It's what we wanted to do. And we weren't waiting for somebody else to come along and give us permission or give us a paycheck or give us a budget to do it. We didn't need any of that to do it.
We're spoiled. Do you think we're spoiled? I mean, not we, but today's world. Like, what happened?
I mean, I look at my daughter. So my daughter's going to be 11 years old, and
Holy
of course,
crap.
I know. And
How
every
old are you,
parent,
like 80?
pretty much,
Yeah.
and every parent, of course, they want to give their child more than what they themselves had. But it's a very fine line, and what's that balance? Because people are like, she's gonna pay for her own car. I paid for my first car, but of course it could have broken down at any moment. It was, again, I paid for it from a paper route, so you can imagine it wasn't a brand new nice car. Now, do I want to give my daughter a car that might break down? No, I would never sleep at night. I want her to have a really good, nice, solid car.
I would too, because she's a beautiful girl and she's absolutely adorable and wonderful. Now, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass, even though you would like that, but I mean that. I mean that from my heart. She is, a gift, and yes, you wouldn't want that for her, but you're doing something right, because how old is she now?
She'll be 11 next week.
She's so mature, much more mature than that. But there's something you're doing that I think parents are missing today, that people want the entitlement. They feel entitled, and they're not going to practice their braids 100 times. They're not going to master the updo and practice. Oh, we're doing it again. We got to do it again. And yet, that's what we did. Like you said, we crashed all together. How can we change that?
Well, I think that's just part of maturing, because as much as we're like patting ourselves on the back, like, yeah, when we were that age, we did it right. No, we didn't. We screwed up a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there were adults looking at us like, what the heck is wrong with them? So I'm sure that we were that way too. And I think every generation goes through whatever it is that they need to learn to grow up and be mature and responsible. And because I like this generation, we get. Sometimes people get mad at this generation. They only want to work 4 days a week. When I was your age, I worked 10 days a week.
They're smarter.
And what it is, that they're more balanced. Because our generation, we were taught you compromise and sacrifice everything. Health, family, spirituality, just to earn money, just to get... Well, this generation comes along, well, good for you. I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I need a paycheck, but I also want to be with my friends. I also, 1 day a week, I go volunteer at the soup kitchen. I also want to do that cancer walk. I also want to be in that protest because I'm passionate about that cause. And so they have this balance. They're more patriotic sometimes than other generations. I think that, and by the way, the things that they want are the things that we want too. We want more time with our family. We want more time off from work. We don't want it to be 6 days a week at the grind. And so I think that this generation is a catalyst for making all kinds of changes. But at the same time, yes, they still do need that mentoring of discipline and following through with your commitments. And those are the things that we try to teach our daughter.
Yeah, but when she protests, which you have to indulge me here, you brought her to some protests. But it was peaceful.
Yeah.
There's the ones that show up and ruin it for the people who are trying to have a voice, make a difference by showing that violence is the way to go. So, that's where I think people get confused with today's generation. It's not the generation. We've had that since how many years ago?
1,000.
There's the good and the bad. I mean, there's people there to march peacefully, and then there's people there to ruin that.
Right.
On purpose.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying, and I just want to reach out to some of these young kids, and because they are struggling a lot, because I see them, and I just want to tell them, you're going to be okay. Right. You're going to be all right. We don't hate you. You're going to make it. But it's such a mixed up world now that it's not just bad kids. I think the parents just try to move everything so out of their way that they can't trip. They can't. You and I got to discover. You had a paper route. Mm-hmm. Could you imagine our kids having a paper route these days? Would you allow that?
I won't let my daughter go to the mail box without my eyes on her. So there's no way she's going to leave on her bicycle at night for 3 hours. Yeah. There's no way.
No. And so, how can they get this experience? Because the world has changed so much, and, we got to teach them how to fight, how to protect themselves. But yet we're trying to teach them how to be nice at the same time and trust people. How do you do that? Because you brought out a little good points about our new generation. We're looking at them kind of, I think, sometimes in the wrong way. They do bring a lot to the table. But I noticed once again that we're missing a lot of that. We're scared to trust people. We're scared to be nice to them because we don't know their intentions.
Right. Yeah.
Help me with that. Because if you guys don't know it, I'm 60 as well, and I pick on Winn, but I'm about to have a baby girl. Well, not me personally, but my wife is. And I'm going to start at 61, actually, by the time she's born. And this is my first little girl. I have 2 boys already, but this is my first little girl. Now, people always say to me, because you got a girl, what's the first thing they said to you? You're going to get shotguns, or you're going to get...
Oh my gosh. And by some of that we did. We created Fort Knox. There were cameras everywhere. Our neighbors would ring our doorbell. Did you get that on camera? I got everything on camera.
But I told them, I said, listen, when it comes to dating, I'm going to love that child so much.
Right.
I'm going to give her everything she needs at home so she doesn't have to find it from somewhere else. But that's not the problem. The problem is trusting somebody else today. How did you instill that into Sophia? If you don't mind me saying her name, we can scratch that out.
It's okay. It's okay. I mention her all the time.
How do you mentor me to, because she is trusting, she is loving, but how do you give that to somebody in a world like this? Honestly, let's face it, it's kind of gotten a little angry.
Yeah. We're pretty clear about what we expose her to and what we keep away from her. Something as simple as those of you who have kids, hopefully you know about this. There's this organization called Wait Till 8th. Have you heard of it?
No.
Oh, you and Ashley want to sign up now. Okay. The whole idea, wait till 8th.
And what's that mean, though? Wait till 8th?
Do not get an iPhone into the hands of your kid until at least 8th grade. Wait until 8th.
I agree.
And then there's another higher process or belief system above that, and is wait till 18 years old, meaning get them out of high school before they're exposed. And now my daughter has a watch where we can track her on GPS, and trust me, we track her, we know where she is several times throughout the day, and she can text 2 or 3 people, but we control that. So we got that on her. But to put internet in the hands of a child, and to me, an 18-year-old is a child when it comes to navigating things like social media. I mean, I know grown adults who can't get out of bed in the morning without checking social media to make sure that they received enough likes on the stupid picture that they posted.
And now the new middle finger is this now.
And
you
then
know that?
they're destroyed.
Yeah.
And these are grown adults, so we're talking about 18 years or less. And so, but the idea of wait till 8th is that it's the parents who are signing the agreement with each other, because if
with the child,
with all the children, because if in my daughter's class, if there's 18 kids in my daughter's class, if 1 or 2 of them have an iPhone already, well, then that kind of ruins it for the rest of us. Like, we're trying to keep our kids away from this, and you're already putting it in the hands of your child, and that makes it more difficult for me to keep it out of my daughter's hands. And so wait till 8th, the parents come together, and we all sign an agreement with each other.
But what do you do in this case? Because they're like, kids are literally, when they come out of the womb, are being handed an iPad as they come out, and in school they're using computers, they're using the internet.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with
supervised.
I'm fine with all of that. Using a computer, absolutely, they need to be technologically savvy and educated and know how to navigate, because that's the world that we live in. But that does not have to include having internet at their access. I mean, at the access to them at any moment, and social media. Tell me one purpose, one good reason of why a kid under 18 years old would need to be on social media. Tell me one reason why.
I don't believe they should be. And you know what? And that's where a lot of the damage comes from: the bullying, the suicides, people telling them to kill them. Kill yourself. You're ugly. There's a lot of bullying on that, and I don't. And in all honesty, we talked about it. It's like when our child is born, we don't want to make that their babysitter.
No.
Of course we want them to discover things on the web, but we want to be present. We want to control what they can visit and not visit. And that's important when they go to a friend's house as well. But with the phone, and so Sophia has no phone.
No. Oh gosh, no.
I love it.
No.
But if she had to make an emergency call, how can she do it?
She can do that from her little watch. Yeah. So she can call us and we can call her. But she can't be pulling up YouTube videos or searching the internet or checking somebody else's social media or going on to... No, she can't do any of that. So you control it. And how it happens, we've been having this conversation since day one. I mean, ask her. You could have asked her when she was 3. How old will you be when you can have an iPhone? 18. How old will you be when you can have your first date? 35 years old, after my dad is dead. No.
Well, she'll be younger than that. Go ahead.
Okay,
No, I'm
thank
only
you,
kidding. I
thank
wish
you.
you a long life.
Thank you. But no, it's not like all of a sudden we spring it on her. No, you're not gonna. No, we've been talking to her about these things.
You just said the key word. You said talking to her about it.
This is a daily conversation. Sometimes I remember somebody gave us some really good advice, saying when you set up your daughter's bedroom, make sure that there's no toys in her bedroom, there's no TV in her bedroom, there are no games in her bedroom, because
Just bars?
No, her bedroom is for one purpose, and that is to sleep. You want to teach your daughter how to sleep. And I know grown adults who don't know how to sleep. They don't get enough sleep at night. We're a family that sleeps, and sleep is super, super important to us. And so they said, teach your daughter how to sleep. And part of that is setting up this ritual, okay? Now, part of the ritual of going to sleep is we go in there at the same time every single night. There's a certain blanket, there's a certain light, there's a certain sound, and it's reading time. So it's reading. So we will read to her, or she'll read to herself. That's part of the ritual of going to bed. Not yet.
Okay.
Falling asleep. And also, this was the good part of it. They said that's probably the time when your daughter will divulge information to you.
Yes.
Because sometimes kids naturally want to put off having to go to sleep anyway. And so they know when we're in there, time to go to sleep. Daddy, I need to tell you something that happened today. It happens so often. Like that, and we reserve, that's sacred time. Sophia's going to talk to us right now, and the stuff that comes out, the stuff that she shares with us, because that's when she feels comfortable in doing that. So it's not just, one lesson, sit down, child, let's talk about internet. Let's talk about social media. No, it's every single day. So we have these little conversations, Daddy, so-and-so has an iPhone in my class. Okay, sweetheart, let's talk about that. Daddy, I'm not going to get one until I'm 18 years old because I don't want to have anything. She had checked out of this circle of this friend group. And every day it was like another story, another conversation. Well, this one was mean, and this one said this, and this one right. And it was like every single day. And all of a sudden it stopped. Like one day she just stopped talking about it. She stopped telling these stories. Sophia, what changed? Oh, I have a new circle of friends now. Really, why'd you do that, Sophia? And we didn't tell her to do this. Why did you do that? Well, my new friends, they just want to be little girls. Catherine, she still loves stuffed animals. She still likes to sleep with her parents. She doesn't want to get acrylic nails. There are girls that have acrylic nails in 4th grade.
Please, some parents are getting them breast augmentation before they give them a chance to develop.
Yeah. So it's
can't they just be a child while they're a child? Like you said, before they're 18, I love that, because study shows the mind really doesn't fully develop till 25. Yet, we're giving them all this stuff and developing it the wrong way.
Again, grown adults don't know how to navigate that stuff.
Yeah.
I truly feel, if we're talking about social media, I truly feel that in 50 years from now, as a society, we're going to say, what were we thinking? Why did we let this get so far? Why did we get so enwrapped with cell phones and social media? Like how did this happen? Because I think it's just going to go to the point where people are they're going to put their foot down and say no more. Somebody was telling me that flip phones are on their way back because
I
people
hope so. I want
yeah.
one. I don't want an iPhone anymore. It's so funny because when I don't have eye-to-eye conversation anymore with people. I try to, but I don't know if their just habit is here, but they can't look at you. And they're comfortable talking to you while they're playing on their phone or their computer. They can have a discussion with you. But it's like you take that away from them, they don't know what to say or do.
Well, it's deeper than that.
How deep is it?
Empathy. Empathy. And there are some studies out right now by Harvard that talk about major corporations where the one thing that employers feel is lacking in candidates today is empathy.
Yes.
To be a good leader, to be a good employee, to be a good boss, to be really good in customer service, what do you need? Empathy. Empathy is something that you learn. You're not born with it, you learn empathy. And how do you learn empathy? Empathy means I can put myself in your shoes. I can feel what you're feeling. So you and we've been best friends all of these years. I know every facial feature. I know the laugh, I know the look, I know the mood, I know the energy, why we're friends. And how do we develop that relationship? Like this. It's face to face. This didn't exist.
I
it was
felt the
face to
spin, too.
face.
Yeah, it was face to face.
Yeah. And so if something's going on, Julia, what's going on? Like I can tell. Why? Because I'm looking at you. But if I'm staring at a device and my conversation with you is just through text or through social media or something else, that's why kids of today are losing empathy.
Well, even on a phone call, when we're not face to face, how many times have I spoken to you and I'm like, you don't sound right today?
Yeah.
Because we're not texting.
Right.
And I'll give you a good example of that. I was just at an event down in Jupiter, Florida. And we were with a group of people, and the girl wrote, I had to meet with so-and-so. I am done with him. That's how he read it to me. And he's like, what happened? He had to cancel, and she's like, I'm done with him. Like, he thought she was going to walk away. What she really meant to say, and we found out later, because we're like, well, let's get in contact with this person. Right. We all got caught up in the hysterics.
Right.
We found out that what she meant to say is, I met with him, and now our meeting is done.
Oh, right.
And we're like, oh my God. For like hours we were like, this is a tragedy. But people lost the I can't translate a text message.
Right.
I can't translate an email, because sometimes we read the email what we're feeling at that moment. And if we're angry at that moment, we're reading that email as an anger email.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I love the flip phones, because now, please, let's get back to talking. And somebody said it to me too, let's get back to dating each other. Not, like, let's kiss and all this. Let's communicate. Let's see each other in person. Let's have a discussion. You go to restaurants, and I'm talking, and Ashley and I, we hardly go to restaurants, but what we do, we're looking at every other couple. They're not Googling at each other. They're Googling on the phone.
Right.
They're not communicating. They're not talking. The kids are not talking. It's like...
And by the way, it's not just that we're the old guys trying to say, why don't they, this young generation, again, they're the catalyst for great things. I heard about these high school kids that whenever they have lunch with each other, they put their phones in the middle of the table, and whoever grabs their phone first has to buy lunch for everybody else.
I love it.
Meaning they've figured it out. They know this is hurting us. This is not healthy for us. And I think that there is that generation there is that segment that is trying to abandon and move further away from that kind of communication, from social media. And so, I mean, they see it too.
I made a rule in my house at the dinner table, and I made that rule because I was the violator. I caught myself on the phone, and I caught everybody on the phone. And coming up in an Italian family, I don't know how it was in your family, but we talked at the table. We argued. We debated. Everything was worked around food, but we communicated.
Right.
And one day I look up, and not only am I texting, but everybody else is doing it.
Right.
And we weren't our communication with my boys stopped. And so now, even if they're much older, I'm like, when you're at my table, unless you are a doctor on call or you're on call, you can have your phone next to you.
Right. Okay.
Other than that, it is not allowed at the table, because this is where we talk to each other, we discuss, we debate, we communicate. And I love it, because I would be at this end of the table communicating with that person, at the end of it, that person is communicating with that. It's a mess, but it's fun.
Yeah.
And I think we're missing a lot of that fun, and I love what you're doing with Sophia. What would you tell the parents out there, best advice you can say, whether it be internet or anybody on the internet? This is an addiction, okay? The phone, the computers, everything is an addiction. How can we break the addiction? What's a good way to start, and what is important and not important?
Just boundaries and discipline. And my daughter, now when Sophia was born, I cut back from traveling, and I moved my office to my home. So I'm still working, but I'm working from home, which meant on your phone. So it's email, it's text. You can run an entire multi-million-dollar company from your phone, and that's what I was doing. And my daughter has said it to me, Daddy, you love your phone more than you love me.
Ooh.
Now I could explain to her, well, Sophia, I work out of the home, and Daddy's got to work, and she doesn't care about any of that. It's my husband George. Come on, Winn, there's not too many more years. I mean, she wants our attention right now. Let's give her what she wants, what she needs, and it's like we have to remind each other of that. But But you don't have to wait for those, heartbreaking daggers to hit you to realize there has to be a better way. We need to set up better boundaries. We do it with every other area of our life. We know that we're disciplined to go to the gym at the same time every single day. We're disciplined to eat the right foods all of the time. We're disciplined to know to go to bed and get up at a certain time, to set an alarm clock to be to work at a certain time. We're disciplined in so many other areas of our lives, but it just seems like with our cell phones, and I don't know why we're talking about cell phones, so it just seems
because
like
it is a
there's
big
no
deal.
boundaries. There's just no boundaries. It's just a free
lives.
for all, whatever. No, we just need the same boundaries that we put and the same disciplines that we put in all the other areas of our lives now need to be applied to that.
See, this show, anything can happen. We start out with be nice, but this all works to be nice because the conversation can go off because it's. I made a commitment a little while ago, especially, I know what I made where I made discoveries racing the first time around. What am I going to do the second time around? And I got married the second time around. Mm-hmm. So what were my discoveries from the first? Not my hate, not my regrets. What did I learn? Mm-hmm. And how am I going to do it differently? That I actually told the people from my companies, I'm available from 11 to 7 because, we're East Coast time, West Coast time. And I let the people know in my life, these are my working hours. But I actually now literally, unless it's family or somebody important, because I will always answer my kids' calls or whatever, I literally turn the phone on out of the office and I turn it off the ringer and I turn it around. I don't go to my emails anymore because that's what I used to live. I woke up to the emails. I woke up to the phone. And I wasn't communicating. So now I don't do it. I know that certain hour comes, try to get a hold of me. You're not going to.
Right, yeah.
Try to do business with me. You're not going to because you know what? Federal offices close at 5. Guess what? I'm closed too.
Yeah.
But I mean, I got to be there for certain people at a certain time for emergencies. However, you are not going to call me because it's convenient for you to call me at 9 or 10 o'clock at night while I'm trying to have a great movie night with my wife and or my kids are visiting or my family's visiting, and pretty soon I want to be with my baby.
Yeah.
And I want to be singing and reading to her, and reading is important. Here's the problem. I'm not a great reader, but I know I'll get better and better, and I've gotten better. But the thing is, I know I'll get better by reading to her even more. I tried to read to my kids when I was growing up. My dyslexia, I didn't know how to work it, so it was very difficult.
Is that what happened to them?
Yes. But they read. Thank God they read them, right?
Thank God they got smarter than you.
But listen, I can spell a word more than one way. That makes me smart, right?
Creative.
But I enjoy having you on. And this whole conversation, like, we went off on a whim of everything: children, internet, because it is a drug and it's killing many kids, just like any other drug that you would ingest. But it comes in an form or a computer. This is important again. It never was unimportant, but we forgot about it for a while because we just took it for granted. And it's not that I'm trying to push your book, but if they want it, they can go on winnclaybaugh.com or
Amazon or something.
Amazon and Be Nice. It's a great book, and it's much more than just Be Nice. It talks about a culture, creating a culture, creating a system, how to try new things. It's much more than Be Nice or Else, but that's incorporated in there, just like this talk today. I think I'd like for you to leave any profound message you think, whether it be for your daughter, whether it be for all the kids out there or all the people, whatever you want to do. I want to give you this moment to be yours, to give that message that if I was not to see you tomorrow, what would that be?
People talk about having a legacy, and before my daughter was born, it seems like everything right now, it all revolves right back to one thing: my daughter. And I like to tell people that had my daughter not come around into my life, I would just be a rich old asshole. So there's my one swear word. And I believe that would be true. I think that that's exactly how I would have ended up being. And my daughter completely changed all of that. Thank goodness. And I used to think that my legacy was going to be 100 plus schools and a multi-million-dollar company and all of that. which, by the way, I still don't think there's anything wrong with that, and I'm proud of all of that, and I think that that's wonderful too, because I love what money can do to help and save people. I think all of that's great, but and you don't have to become a parent to want to leave that kind of a legacy. I want that legacy to be that here's a little human being, that the best of me and even sometimes the worst of me, and the worst of me are the lessons that I've learned and what I've been through, to be able to pass that on to that generation, to pass it on to a little girl. And it's not always or only to a little girl that I get to pass that on to. So today I had the opportunity to be on stage in front of a bunch of students, and all I'm doing is sharing. I never say, let me teach this to you. Those words don't come out of my mouth. I just want to share with you. I just want to share with you my story. I believe that the best teachers and mentors and heroes and parents are storytellers, and I love telling stories. And my favorite mentors are just people, they don't quote doctrine, they don't quote principles and step one and step two. They just tell personal stories, and then they just leave it up to the audience to decide what is the lesson, what is the takeaway for them personally. And so whether it's for my daughter, or whether it's for an audience, or whether it's for a circle of friends, I just want to be a contributor. I just want to be not just a consumer. I don't want to just be the person who, takes, and I have all the answers. I just want to be a contributor. I want to be part of the circle and part of the conversation, not the only conversation, part of the conversation, and contribute something so that, what do they say? What do you want people to say about you when you're not around? And I just want people to say, he was nice, he gave back, he really cared about me, he made me feel like I was the only person in the room when I was struggling with something. Somehow he was able to understand that I needed that love, that I needed that extra attention today. How did he know how to do that? I want to be intuitive for things like that. I'm not so intuitive in business conversations. I get around like some of the dads that of the kids where my Sophia goes to school, and a lot of those business conversations are business, just business only, and they're asking those kinds of questions, and I just check out. I don't have anything to contribute or add. Not that I don't have a successful business. I don't have anything to contribute to that now. I just want it to be conversations that truly matter, and I like that because there's so many conversations that don't really matter. The easy example is there are people who know more about the Real Housewives than they know about the latest research in breast cancer. Like, where are conversations that really matter? And those are the ones that I want to have. I don't think that you and I really talk about business that much.
Never. So we want some money.
But we're partners. But we're business partners, and we have been for 30 years. We're business partners, but we don't really talk business that much.
We talk about family. We'll hit it a little bit, but we talk about family. And we talk about your, Sophia and my kids, and you're wondering what my kids are doing. I'm wondering what your Sophia's doing, what George is doing. We have this great connection, and we bust each other's chops, left and right. And I love it, though, because you and I have butted head, too. But look where we are. We're still together. We're still friends. His name is Winn Claybaugh. You got to hear him. He's got a master series. He brings a lot of wealth, a lot of knowledge. His book is Be Nice or Else. I can't add much more to that. I think he gave us just a ton of wisdom, and can't wait to spend some more time with you while you're going to spend a couple days.
When it's our girls getting together.
Our girls get together.
Sophia wants to be the big aunt, the older sister.
She's so excited.
The older god sister. She can't wait.
Oh, we can't wait for her to be that big sister. We'll see you. I'm going to talk more to my friend Winn, and we'll see you at our next show on the Giulio Show. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next show. Bye. God bless.